To get started with this tutorial, I will first demonstrate how to set up a personal account, for example a Gmail account with Outlook. Then I'll demonstrate how to set up a business account with Outlook. So let's get started with a personal account. So I have a Gmail account. I have not set up any profiles on it yet, so we'll just open Outlook. You can find it from the Start menu, or you can simply type here under the search bar Outlook 2016. So typically you'll get this, and in this case I'll just add my personal email. In this case it's my Gmail account, and then I'll click on Connect. Then of course you'll need to add your password and click OK. Now in some cases it may happen like it does not allow you to use the password or to sign in like it's doing in my case here. In this case, go here to your Gmail account, go under the configuration for your Gmail account, and then go under Settings. And this might be the case with your Outlook.com account or Yahoo account and such, so you'll try it first. You'll try it first to set up your account through Microsoft Outlook, and if it doesn't work, then you'll have to go and sort out as to what else you have to enable. In this case, I need to go under Forwarding, POP, and IMAP, and then I need to enable here my IMAP. So notice IMAP is enabled. And we also might need here the configuration settings or the instructions for how to set it up in Outlook. So if we go here under configuration instructions, notice it wants all of these different settings for the outgoing server. So you'll basically need to set those in your Outlook. And it doesn't allow us to proceed any further. Now in some cases, particularly with Gmail, your account might be blocked for logging in through Microsoft Outlook and such. And the reason for that is because Google considers Outlook as a less secure app to access your email. So in this case, since I could not log in earlier, what I need to do is go here to my inbox and notice it says review your sign-in attempt. So it says you can continue to use this app by allowing access to less secure apps. So we need to go into our account settings and allow Microsoft Outlook to access our Gmail account. So there are two steps to enable a personal account. We first need to go into the account settings and enable IMAP and POP3 if we needed to. But also we need to go into the account settings and allow less secure apps. And this is under the myaccount.google.com/security, the less secure apps option. So now let's go ahead and try it again. Here, we'll change the account and go to Google and then IMAP and all these different settings. So notice it needs to be port 993 and then SSL. And then also for the outgoing server, smtp.gmail.com, and then port 465, and then SSL as well. Then click on Next, and then put your password again. And now our account has been set up, and it's complete. We go here under Setup Outlook, and click on OK. And it's pretty much the same way that you'd set up any other personal accounts as well. And in this session, I'm going to demonstrate how to set up your business account or an Exchange account with Microsoft Outlook, and then you'll put your business email account. Here, in order to make sure that we are going to pick the proper account for Microsoft Exchange, I suggest that you click on Advanced Options and choose Let me set up my account manually. If you're already connected to the business network, you can simply press Connect and it's going to use Active Directory and the sign-in from there as well. All you'd have to put in is the email address from your company. Next, we click here on Connect and then make sure that you choose Microsoft Exchange. Then put the password in there from your email account from your business. And the account is complete, and you can click OK. And also I'd suggest, unless you're setting up your mobile phone, I would suggest you uncheck the Set Up Mobile Phone option here. Then click OK, and you'll be able to access your business email. Now, one of the advantages if you're using Microsoft Exchange from a business environment is that the email and the calendar and the contacts, it's all transparent. It's connecting directly to the server, and if you delete a message from Outlook, it deletes it from the server as well, so it keeps all your messages intact. The older technology out there was to use what's called POP3 type of connectivity, where the messages were downloaded to your local computer, and it was like the post office, or POP3 actually stands for Post Office Protocol version 3. It's basically the messages were downloaded to your computer, then you delete them, and a copy would remain on the server. With Exchange, all of that, it's linked in real time. You delete a message from Outlook, it deletes it from the server, you receive a new message, it shows up in your computer, and also you can have it on your mobile phone and gadgets as well. The same thing is also the tight integration of the calendaring feature and the contacts feature and such that we'll cover shortly. Now that we are in Outlook, this is the business account, and let's assume that you wanted to add a personal account. You can also do that by going under File here and then choose Add an Account. And basically you just have to follow the same process that we did follow earlier for adding a personal account. And rewind the video for that. So basically in Microsoft Outlook, you can have more than one account, your business account and any personal accounts that you want, and they will show up here on the left hand side. So just for the sake of demonstration here, I'm going to do it very quickly by using my personal account. And of course, make sure that your personal accounts have two-factor authentication and all that type of stuff. In this case, I have disabled it temporarily just so that I can set this up. And notice now I have my two accounts here. This is my business account, and then this is my personal account as well. So that's how you get started with Microsoft Outlook to set up your accounts, whether it's a business account or whether it's a personal account. Next, we are going to go into some of the components of the user interface in Microsoft Outlook so that you can be familiar with it and effectively use it for personal use or in the workplace to enhance your resume. In this session, I'm going to go over the basic components of the interface of Outlook 2016 so that we can get an understanding of the major components of it and get started the right way with Outlook. So let's open Outlook first. In this case, notice I have set up two accounts here, one personal and one for business. So at this point, notice that on the left-hand side, we have the favorite folders. We have the business account here with all the different folders. Then we have a personal account as well with all of the different folders, and this is the Gmail account. Favorite folders are specific folders from each account that we can mark as favorite. To mark another folder as favorite, we can simply go to any of those folders here on any of those accounts and right-click and choose Show in Favorites. And that's how you'll add here another folder to show up under Favorites. To remove it from Favorites, we just right-click and choose Remove from Favorites. So that's the left-hand side. On the very top here, notice you'll have the regular menus just like any other application. You have the File menu with all kinds of options here. Notice also the Options option, Account Settings, Mailbox Settings, Rules, and such. That's under the File menu. Then you have the Home tab, and this is most commonly used functions within this application. Basically, it's giving you the general tools for the context of what you're doing. And this includes creating a new mail message, replying to messages, forwarding them, and dealing with meetings and general things that you'd be doing. Then notice you have the Send and Receive tab, the Folders tab, Viewing tab, and different viewing options as well that you can change and customize. Then you have the Help option, and also notice that there is a Tell Me feature here. Tell me what you want to do. So let's say that you wanted to know about the address book and you're not sure where the address book is. You just type address here and then it's going to bring you that option. Or let's say you don't know where the forwarding option is. Notice it's giving us the respond option here and such. On the very top here, notice that you have what's called here the quick access toolbar. These are a set of tools or icons that you can choose to enable or disable for you to quickly access. Notice also that the quick access toolbar, you can add other icons to it. So sometimes there are specific commands that you're very commonly using in your application. And let's say that you want the delete key to always be up here, or the hyperlink option, or whatever it may be that you want in there. You can go to any of those icons, whatever that icon might be, that function that you want, and right click on it and choose to add it to the quick access toolbar. And now that delete option will always be in the top left corner. To remove it from there, you can right click and choose to remove it from the quick access toolbar, and that will remove it from there. So these are some of the components on the top here. So you have the Office ribbon, and then in each section here of the tab, you also have the subsections. For example, the delete section here, the creating new stuff, delete stuff, responding to emails, then quick steps of what you want to do with your email, and then moving and various tags. So that's on the top. In the middle, this is the actual messages. So we are clicking on the actual folder here for the message, and these are the different messages that we have received so far. Now the message content will actually be displayed by default on the right hand side. So I click on this message, and there is the content of the message here on the right hand side. With these messages, we can either reply from right here or reply to all and forward from here. So these are the controls. So basically we start with the left hand side with our inbox, the message on the center column, and then replying and functions. We read the message from over here, and then we can reply and reply to all or such from over here from the controls on the top. So that's the default view. If you wanted to change the view to something other than what you see here, you can do that by going on the View tab and then choose how you want your viewing. So we have here the reading pane, and if you want to change it to a different viewing option, so let's say I want the messages to be viewed in the bottom, I can just choose under the reading pane the bottom option here. And now notice I have the messages on the top, and the preview of the messages will be in the bottom here. So I'm going to change it to the default. The View tab, since we are here under the To-Do bar, you can choose to show the calendar on the right hand side, and most of the time that will be there automatically depending on your resolution and your screen. And also you can choose to show the tasks, and you can choose to show also the peep pane. Now on the very bottom here, the bottom right, you can zoom in and out for your messages. So if the zooming for a specific message is not large enough, you can adjust that as well by using the zoom controls. In the bottom as well, you have the normal view, and also you can change this to a reading view. On the bottom left here, we have the number of items that we have in our folder and how many messages are unread here. Now, a major component, which I probably should have mentioned earlier in Outlook, and the advantage of using Outlook is that you can actually use Outlook not only for email, which is this icon right here or this function right here, but you can use Outlook also for the calendaring features, and that's the beauty of it. You can keep track of your own calendar and view other individuals' calendars, and also make meeting invitations, and we'll try to cover those shortly as well. You can also keep track of contacts, and those contacts can be accessed then from multiple computers once you set up your account in multiple computers, and also in your smartphone. You can also keep track of tasks, notes as well from here. So notice all of these options are here on the very bottom left of your window. You can further customize this by going here under Options and choose a type of navigation that you'd like. So in my case, I might want to make this much larger so that I can view and switch from calendar to other tasks this way. Again, note that you can change this under these three dots under the navigation options. And I'm choosing here compact navigation. So from this application, you can keep track of your email, your calendar, contacts, to-do lists, and even notes, all from one interface. And we'll move on to the next session in covering more of the features of it. We'll first stay within the email component of it and then move to the calendaring and other tasks. So stay tuned for the next session. In this session, I'm going to demonstrate how to use the email component of Microsoft Outlook, how to create a message, send it, how to format it, and send it to one or more individuals. So let's open Outlook. You might want to reference the previous videos on how to set up your Outlook account and how to understand the various components of Outlook. Notice on the left-hand side here we have our favorite folders and our various accounts. So we can click here on Inbox, and notice under Inbox here we have the mail that has come in to this specific account that has been received. Under Drafts, these would be messages that we have drafted and have not sent yet. So sometimes we start a message and then Outlook saves it automatically. We forget to send it, or we have to run to a meeting, and you can choose to save that message as a draft and then come back to it. Under Send Messages, this would be the messages that we have sent out to other individuals. Deleted messages, these would be what we have deleted. Junk email, this is if your company uses filtering. And then Outbox is messages that are waiting to be sent out. Typically in Outlook, the messages will be sent automatically. However, if something is stuck and not getting sent, that's where it will be temporarily stored in the Outbox. So we go here under Inbox, and at this point we are going to send a new message. So I click here on New Message, and notice we have the from and then the to, where it's sending it to. And then we also have a carbon copy that we might want to send to somebody else. So if we want it to send to multiple people, put a semicolon, and then you can put a space, and then type another email address, and so on. So you can send it to multiple people, multiple individuals, by using semicolon. That's the trick in Microsoft Outlook. You can't put a comma, you have to use a semicolon in there for multiple addresses. The other thing is that you can put a carbon copy here if you wanted to send it to somebody else, and then you'll type the subject. So this will be just the title of the message. Typically you want to make sure that the title of the message is meaningful, just like the subject, so you want them to click on it and actually read your message. Next, you want to start typing the message. This is basically the message that you want them to read. Now, one thing to remember as you're using email and such is that spelling nowadays matters. So try to make sure that your spelling and the email content is looking professional. And also try not to type everything in caps. Most likely you know about that. It's considered typically yelling. So try to keep the formatting at a minimum and not highlighting and bold and all that type of stuff unless there is a need to do so. Now, for the sake of demonstrating the formatting of this email and such, I'm going to just go and type some additional content here. And notice if I wanted bulleted lists or if I wanted specific numbers, all I have to do is start typing A, for example, and now it's going to start creating the list. If we don't like A, B, C, notice we have these options here where we can format this and make this much fancier. So this is the basic text formatting tools, whether we want to change the font, the size of the font, and notice you can adjust the size of the font to increase the font size from these little icons here. Make this bold, italics and underline and text color and all these different options that you see over here. So these are some of the tools that have to do with the formatting of the text. Now, if we wanted to use an address book and check the names and such, you'd use these tools over here. And then to attach a file for this, which I'll demonstrate in a moment, you'll use the attach file function here and attaching items and things of that nature. So we type our message the way we want it. We can format this any way we want it. Then we want to attach the file. Now to attach a report, while we are in the new message area, we click on Attach Report. And one of the nice features of 2016 is actually that the most recent files that we have been using, they're going to be listed first here under recent items. So we don't really need to navigate where the files are. That's in the case of where you open the report and you worked on it for the last moment and such. So we simply click over here and then add it as an attachment. The other option is to browse my PC here for the attachment and go and find it under Documents, and notice there's Sales Report here under Documents. For now I'll show you the easy way, so we click here on Sales Report and notice it's attached. Next we can double check how our message looks like and we'll be able to press Send. Before we press Send here, I'm going to just show a couple of additional options here for tags. Sometimes the message might be of high importance, and this is where you can mark it as high importance while sending it. I would suggest, however, that you use the high importance only when it is really highly important. If all the messages that you send out are of high importance when they are actually not, it could frustrate the receiver, so use this feature wisely. Under the follow-up area here, you also have an option to choose when you want to have a reminder for this. So you could set this to follow up with this next week or tomorrow, and you basically just put a check mark on it and it will add it to your tasks to follow up the next day and such. It will actually put a little flag next to it. And then when you're ready, you press Send. At this point, the message should have been sent. Typically, it goes into the outbox first, and from there, if everything is working correctly, it clears out the outbox. And then, if you wanted to see whether it was sent and what was sent, you'd go under the Sent Items folder. So this is what was sent. If I go here to my personal email account and I go under Inbox, and this is my Gmail account, notice I will have a message with a new report attached. And as a user in my Gmail account, I can go ahead and open this report and view the contents of it. Now I can go back to my inbox and review the messages. Now in the case where a message was not deliverable, notice you'll receive an automatic email that it could not be delivered. To delete it, we can do it a couple ways here. We can either click on Delete up here after we have selected the message, or we can click on the little delete option right here. Obviously, this is very basic stuff. However, this is what you'll be using 99% of the time. That's why I'm kind of covering it a little bit more in detail. So that's how you compose a message, send it to multiple individuals, copy somebody as well on the message, and then checking where the send messages are, and then how you delete a message. So stay tuned for the next session that will cover how to use the email functions such as forwarding, replying, and using additional features related to email before we move into the other more advanced features such as the calendaring and contacts and tasks. Now in this session, I'm going to cover some of the other basic features of using email in Microsoft Outlook. These features might still sound very basic. However, this is what you'll be using most of the time in the business environment anyway. And particularly if you're getting started with Outlook, first how to check new messages. So when you open Outlook, the new messages will be marked in bold color like this one over here in the top. Then you'll click on the folder, for example, Inbox, and then click on the actual bold message. Click on it, and then on the right hand side you'll see the content of the message that you received. Now to delete it, of course you could use the delete button here on the very top or next to it, And notice also you have an option here to follow up with this as a to-do item if you don't have time to deal with it at this point in time. So all you have to do is click on this little flag here, and then notice it will add the message here to follow up with this later today on this specific message. Now, if this doesn't show up in your computer, this is available under the View tab here, and then you'll scroll down under the To-Do bar and you choose to show the tasks or not show them from here. So notice now they have disappeared. Under the To-Do bar, you can choose tasks. If you needed to open something that you had marked to view on it, you can simply double-click on that component and it will open up that message that you had to follow up with from before or at any point. Next, reply to this message, and you can do that by simply clicking reply here on the toolbar on the ribbon, or right above the message, press reply. And from here, you're simply typing the message that you want to send back. As you use email, it's important to acknowledge the receipt of messages. You simply reply to the user, to the requester, that you have received it and that you'll be following up with them. It makes for better communication, and that's effective use of email. Today's workplace employees and supervisors and such, they want you to communicate effectively with them. And this is one way to communicate effectively. And then from here you'd press send. Notice that the reply address, it took it automatically. It placed it in the to address. And if you needed to copy somebody else, this is where you'd put in their email address. Notice that under the message tab here, there is this compose tools. This is where you can use the various additional tools for formatting this message. Also notice that there is this option here for blind copy, or the BCC, the blind copy. It's another option that can be added to your list of options for sending it out. The BCC here, the recipient is not going to know that you actually forwarded or send a copy of this message or reply to anybody else. So they're not going to know that you send this to the Gmail address because it's a blind copy of it. And then you'd simply press send. In the case, and I'm not sending it yet here, in the case where you want to do more major formatting of this message, you can also click here on pop out, and this is where you have the more flexibility to format this message in a fancier way, because you have a complete window that you can adjust and resize and utilize all the various other tools. And then once we are set and good to go, we press send, and that message will be sent out. As you receive messages and such, you might want to reply to all. Reply to all, I would suggest that you use it cautiously. Don't use it for all messages. Sometimes you get messages from a distribution list and all that type of thing. It can be frustrating. So you want to use reply all only if you're part of a team, that you're receiving communication and it is necessary for you to reply back to all the members of the team. However, if the reply, it's important for only specific users or just that sender, there's no need to use the reply all, because it can frustrate other users when they receive mail unnecessarily. So if you're ready to press reply here, press send, and then it's good to go. And then the forward option here, notice it's in both places here. We click on forward, and this is where we can forward this message to somebody else. All you have to do here is just press 2, and then under the recent people, put in their email address, and then press send when you're ready to send it. If you want to discard the message, of course, notice you have the option for discarding it. So that's how you reply to a message, that's how you forward it, and that's how you reply to all the individuals as part of a group. In this session, I'll demonstrate how to use rich text formatting of your messages. It's important to understand that some of those features are also available in the previous versions of Outlook 2016. So let's click here on add a new message. So we want to send a new email. and we type in the address here that we want to send it to. We have the subject in there. We type the message, and of course you want to type this as professional as you can. And then here under the message options, we can go and format this with a variety of different ways, whether we want to change the font, whether we want to change the indentation and the other components here as far as the basic text formatting is concerned. Notice you have the Insert tab, and now we are working with the message. So here you could insert other components as part of this message. So we could insert an attachment. We can choose the latest files that we have been working with, an Outlook item. So for example, an actual message that we have received in the past, simply choose it from there. We could insert a business card if we had one created. The calendar, so today's availability, for example, I'm just going to send the availability as part of this message to a user. I could insert a signature, and this will be part of my email signature. It's basically just my contact information. We can insert what's called illustrations, and the illustrations, it's very similar to it like in Word and Excel and PowerPoint, where you want to insert a table as part of your message. Just click here on Table, and then select however many columns and rows you want to use for this table. Once you have inserted the table or this object, notice that we have a couple new tabs that show up here. We have the Design tab and the Layout tab. Those are actually tools. They're referred to as the contextual tools, tools that show up in the context of what we are doing. In this case, we are working with a table, and we have the table tools. Here we can change the design of this table and pick one of those designs. Instead of spending all afternoon formatting this, we can just use one of those styles from the table tools. You have all kinds of other options here in the style. You can change the shading if you want it manually, add a border, and other types of things. Then you'd fill in the information as part of this table, and you get the idea. And then could still change the layout. We could add additional rows and columns. We could distribute the formatting of each cell here differently, and just put the numbers in there. Once we move out of the table, go back to the Insert tab, and we could add pictures. And the pictures could be from the web or wherever, or from the computer. So if we had pictures here saved, we could do that from the computer, simply select it, or we could go and insert pictures from online here and simply search here for Outlook. We can also change the type of picture that we want, whether it's clip art or an actual picture, and click on it and click on Insert. Now remember, whenever you're copying and sending pictures from the web, keep in mind copyright as well. In this case, notice it's Creative Commons, which means we can use this, giving credit to others. And you can learn about Creative Commons licenses over here. Notice it put here the Creative Commons aspect of it, or the content. Notice now we have the picture tools, and this is the contextual tools related to the pictures. We can format this picture with a simple click on it and make it much more fancier. There's a drop down, and you can customize this further as well. The text wrapping and additional options such as cropping the picture and things of that nature. By the way, the best way to learn about this stuff is simply to tinker with it. Just click on stuff, look as to what the options are on the ribbon, and customize it that way. Additionally, you can insert shapes here. And one of the things with shapes is that you have to actually draw the shape in here. Then you can choose from here, you can choose styles for the shapes as well. And you can manipulate it however you prefer to change it. And all of this is part of an actual message that you are sending. Under the Insert tab, notice you could even insert icons if you prefer to. And this is kind of new in Outlook 2016 with the latest version of it. So click on an icon, and it'll just simply add a fancy icon in here. Of course, to move them around, so you need to, whenever you're using this stuff, you want to make sure that the formatting makes sense. Of course, we are adding too many things, so this is going to be slightly busy, but you get the idea. You're under insert as well now in the later versions of it. There are also 3D objects that you could insert, and these would be from the web. And you could make this even fancier as you're sending it to your users. Now, because this is part of the email, we just need to create some more space here and insert this object however you want. Notice the smart art. These are just predefined infographics to illustrate an idea. Of course, these would be more useful in Word or PowerPoint, but you can use them in Microsoft Outlook as well. So you could define a process and all that type of stuff. Notice how the text here adjusts automatically. And again, for the contextual tools, you have the various color schemes that you can apply to this object. Now, if we add more components here, under Insert, and then we go and add, for example, charts. Charts sometimes would be very helpful. Notice very similar to Excel. You can pick the type of chart here, and then simply click on OK, and then work with the data. Here you change the data type, so put the actual sales for each month. So let's say we have January, and then we want to have the months, and then you have the online and on-site sales, for example. And if, let's say, you don't want to use one of those columns, you can exclude it by dragging this blue line. If you want to learn more about this stuff, you can actually check out the Excel tutorial or the PowerPoint tutorial. So once we are done with the chart data, we can close it. And then if we click on the chart again, notice we have the chart tools very similar to contextual tools for other components that we used earlier. Additionally, as you're planning your messages and working on your messages, under the Insert tab, notice you can do screenshots, and you can add smart art and even symbols and things of that nature. Now, the one other concept that I wanted to demonstrate to you is that for each one of those objects, whether it's an image or an object or text here, you can also insert hyperlinks. So if I select here this object, hyperlink, I could link this to a tutorial on YouTube, for example, or some other object, or the sales report on the website, or a document, or things like that. So in that case, simply select the object, or it could be text, click here on link, and then I just post the address there. When they receive the message and they click on it, then it will take them to that URL. The same way, you could select part of the text, click on link, add the URL that you want to take them to. And notice now this is in blue. However, for the image here, the user most likely will not know it is clickable. So in a nutshell, that's how you create professional looking emails in Microsoft Outlook. It depends on the time that you want to invest in designing the message, how fancy you want it to look, and take the time to compose it. But again, the more professional it is, the better it is in the workplace. So once you're ready to send this, then you can click on send, and the message will be delivered. Now, if I go here to my personal email and click on the sales report, notice that I received here my message, and this is to an external system. This is the image, this is the hyperlinked option for the text that I had hyperlinked earlier, takes you to the YouTube channel, and then this is also hyperlinked as we did earlier. Then we have these images and smart art and charts that we sent. So this is to an external system even outside of Microsoft Exchange. So that's how you send a message out from Microsoft Outlook. If you wanted to check what you sent out, again, you go under the sent items, and the messages that you send out will be listed in there. So stay tuned for the next session on sending a message using the address book in Microsoft Outlook. In this session, I'm going to demonstrate how to use the address book or the company address book in Microsoft Outlook to send messages out, to find the addresses, and then add them to the blind copy or to the copy field for sending emails out to other users. So to create a new message, we click here on New Email, and then we can simply either type the address of the individual where we want to send this message to, over here, and then remember you need to put semicolons to separate them, or you can use the address book. The address book, you can access it either from here under Address Book, and it will display the addresses like by clicking on Name Only, or you can click on the To field over here and then click on the Global Address Book. Under the Global Address Book, we can see the individuals, or we can search by last name. I'm going to search for generic accounts for privacy purposes, of course. So let's say we want to search by last name, and notice the email address will be displayed on the right hand side. Other information such as title and location and all that type of stuff will be displayed on the right hand side. To add it to this list of recipients, I can simply double click on it and it will be added under the To field, or if I wanted this under the CC field, I can simply click here on CC after having selected this address, or if I want it in the blind copy field, and let me search for another address here, I can simply search for it, press go, select the right address book, and then go under the BCC field or any of the fields that I want this to be inserted or sent to. So you can search by simply navigating, or you can search by more columns here and then typing in their last name or their first name and choose go, and then put them in the right field area here and then click OK. Once you have them in this view, then you can type your subject and then type your message and all that type of stuff, and then press send. That's how you can, in a nutshell, use the address book. I will also cover it in more detail, the using the address book, when we actually cover the contacts information here, or the people option within Microsoft Outlook. One other feature here that I'd like to demonstrate before I move to the next segment is how to save this message as a draft. So there might be times where you're spending quite a bit of time in developing and composing an email message, but then you have to run to a meeting or something you want to be, you're distracted. How can you save this message? To save the message, all you have to do is, while you have it open, you click on Save here, and then you can safely close this. Now, when you come back from your meeting, you can simply go here under the Drafts folder, in your Outlook folder, and then you'll see the message that you had from before. Now here you can either keep on typing and add more content to this, or you can click on Pop Out, and that'll bring it up in a bigger window, and you can still keep on working with this message. Once you're ready, you can press Send here, and it'll send the message out. So that's how you can use the address book from Microsoft Exchange at your company, or personal address books as well that you might have in your computer with a personal account. And that's how you also can save a message as a draft and be able to pull it back. In this session, I'm going to demonstrate how to create a signature for your email messages so that whenever you send an email out, your signature will be automatically attached, as well as whenever you reply to a message, to create a signature for any replies to messages that you send out. So here's how you do it. A couple ways to do it, but the simplest is by clicking here and add a new email. And then the easiest is to go under the option here under Signature, click on Signature, click on Signatures again, and then here is where we create our signature. So we click on New, and then you give it any name. It doesn't matter what name, but this is just an identifier. Then you click OK. Then down here, this is where you can put anything that you want to be inserted automatically as part of your message. So my suggestion would put, instead of having to type your name all the time, you could say just, and you can basically put in whatever you want in there. So your title, your department, your contact information, and all that type of stuff. You can also insert here an image that you can copy from the web or wherever, or down here as part of your business card, or as part of your signature for your email. Note that images by default, they might not be displayed on the other side as you use images as well. However, to do this, you can simply go here on the web and copy any of these images, assuming that's the right message or image that you want to use, and then paste it in here. I'm just right-clicking on it and choosing paste. And now notice that's my message, or that's my image here. Forget the inserting of the message. Here you can also paste, for example, your logo from your institution and such. So just simply go ahead and copy it from the web and then paste it in there, or you can use any of these options right here as well to upload the picture from your computer. You can also hyperlink so that your signature, when somebody goes to whatever your position or your department or your institution, you can hyperlink it to go, for example, to your address, and that will be automatically hyperlinked. So basically specify as part of your signature anything that you want to be inserted automatically. Then over here on the top, pick what you want. When do you want to use this signature? Here I want to use this for all the new messages. So I click here. Anytime I create a new message, I want to use this signature. And then click OK. And now that signature has been created. Now if I wanted to create other signatures for replying to messages, I could simply come here and choose a new signature, and then define your signature that you want anytime you press reply to a message. So you just type the stuff in there. Now notice here it says for new messages, under the options, it's going to use the signature for new messages that I created earlier. For replies, I could use the signature for replies, assuming we filled this out and formatted it appropriately. Then I click OK. Now, anytime I go here to create a new message, notice my default signature will be created automatically or added automatically that I created earlier. And then if I go to reply to a message, let's say I got this message from earlier, I press reply, notice my reply signature has been entered automatically. So that's how you create and define the signatures, and that's how you can make them part of your message, whether for new messages or for replies. In this session, I'll demonstrate how to search for messages in your email account. With the emergence of fancier email applications, such as, for example, Gmail, where the search capabilities are really powerful, Outlook as well has fairly good capabilities in you being able to search for messages. And the easiest to search for the messages is by going to your account, whichever account you're using here, and then notice you have search current mailbox. Now this will search everything in that mailbox. So you can change here to search only the current folder or subfolders and such. So let's search for the current mailbox. You probably noticed that I have a lot of Lowe's marketing stuff here. So let's say type Lowe's here and then hit enter. And all the messages from Lowe's will be displayed here. Or let's say I wanted the word report. And then this will display the messages that have the word report in it. Now notice that there is all kinds of other stuff here. That's because there are some other additional reports in there. Or if I do the word test, notice it displays the message. Now once you find the message, you see it here, you can simply click on it and it will be displayed on the right hand side. So that's how you search for messages. If you are getting too many results and such, you can pick to use the current folder. That means that in this case, it's going to search only the inbox for those test messages. If I wanted to search on a specific other folder, I can go to that folder here and then just type the word test. And notice there are two test messages for the current folder under the sent If for some reason your search results are not working quite as well, start typing in the search area, and then notice also there is a recent searches option, and there are additional options here for defining the locations that you want to search, and then the advanced find option where you can specify additional parameters, whether it has specific keywords in the title or from a specific individual and things of that nature. So the search capability, it's actually quite powerful in Microsoft Outlook. If for some reason Outlook is not doing the search properly and such, then it could be potentially related to the indexing status here, the indexing option, that you might have to rerun the indexing in Outlook. Or my suggestion is that if you still cannot find what you need, check with a webmail application from your Microsoft Exchange server. So you just go to mail dot whatever your company name is, and then from webmail, it seems like the Exchange, Microsoft Exchange, does a much better job with the searches rather than within Outlook. In this next session, I'm going to demonstrate how to create folders in your Microsoft Outlook account and then move messages from one folder to the other. So notice here under each account that I have here in Microsoft Outlook, I have also these folders. So these are the default folders such as inbox, drafts, send messages, junk mail, outbox, and such. So let's assume that I wanted a new folder here. You can right-click on one of the folders here or on your account here and choose New Folder. And then simply type in there the folder name and then hit Enter. I could go also and create another subfolder by right-clicking on the actual folder, choose New Folder, and I could call it. When working with folders, you can actually move this folder at any other location that you want. If the folder has subfolders, notice that there is a little triangle in front of it, and you can click to expand it and hide the subfolders. Additionally, any of these folders, you can make them so that they show up under the favorites, and you can right-click here and choose Show in Favorites. And notice it will be displayed up here in Favorites. If you don't want it in Favorites anymore, you can right-click and choose to remove it from Favorites, and it will just be displayed under the actual inbox or that account. Now, to move messages from one folder to the other, you can click on the mail message and then click on Move up here under the Quick Steps, and then choose to move it to a specific folder, for example, under Work Related. And then press Save. That's one way to do it. The other way to do this is by simply dragging this message and dropping it in that specific folder or subfolder that you wanted. And now it's going to be displayed in that subfolder. So the idea is that you want to kind of organize your email. Even though you can use the search capabilities, it's kind of an easier way to identify and search for certain things, keeping them organized in folders and subfolders. Now, there might be times where you want to actually move multiple messages from one folder to the other. In that case, you can simply hold down the Control key and pick individual messages that you want to move. And notice I'm scrolling down here, and basically you're holding down the Control key and picking multiple messages that you want to move, and then drag them to wherever you want to drag them, and now they have been moved to that folder. The other option is to arrange your messages. You click here under All, and then go under Arrange By. Notice by default it's by date, and that's what you want typically. But for now, since we are just moving this stuff around, a manipulation of a bulk messages, simply go here under From, and the system is going to categorize all the messages from a specific sender, and then you can select a whole bunch of messages at the same time. And here I'm holding down the Shift key. I start at a certain point, scroll down to where I want to end here. So start at one point, move however far down you need to, and then click at the end. So now the system is going to select from where I started to the last point I clicked, and now I can simply drag those messages to the folder, where I can choose the Move To option right here to move them to a specific folder. And now if I go under the work related, I moved a whole bunch of them from here. And as we are messing with the folders and such, and the views here, notice that you can rearrange the view here by simply dragging this to the left or to the right, and then it will display those folders accordingly here to save us space. But this is the default. So that's how you create folders, that's how you move folders around and then move messages into specific folders. In this session, I'm going to demonstrate briefly how to create filtering rules in Microsoft Outlook for your messages. So for example, we have all these messages from a variety of sources here, and I want to move those messages when they come in to a specific folder automatically, or create some kind of rule to control and where they end up. So to create a rule, you go here under Rules, and I'm on the Home tab at this point. Go under Rules, and then you can create a rule. You can create the rules automatically. For example, I have this message here from Lowe's. If I go under Rules, I could just choose Always Move Messages from Lowe's Home Improvement, and then it'll guide me as to what else to do with it. So always any messages from here to move them to, let's say, junk mail. Choose the folder that I want them to go to, for example, junk mail, and then click OK. At this point, it's going to do that for any future messages that come in, as well as apply it to the messages that are in your inbox. So if I scroll down here in my inbox, I should not have any more messages from Lowe's. If I go here under junk mail, this is where the message it should be at this point. So there are 193 messages from Lowe's. The other way that you can create rules is by going here under the rules area and then create a new rule step by step. So you could say, I want anything from a specific reply or email, or the subject contains specific words in it, and then I want this to be even sent to, so you could have it sent to somebody else. You could send it to yourself or forward it to somebody else. And also you could have display an alert or play a sound or do something additional. Now we could also again move this to a specific folder. Let's assume these are the business ones or work related, so you can go to any of these, click OK, and then you can also go under advanced options and pick additional options from here. So if it has of high importance, or if it's sent only to me, or any of these actions, notice it adds it to the bottom of this list. So it's doing multiple criteria to apply this rule. So you can get as granular as you want with this. Then click on Next. Then you can choose what to do with the message. You can print it, mark it, flag it, do any of these functions. And of course, you'd want to use this cautiously. Then you click on Next, and you can add exceptions here and pick those cautiously as well. And then you can run this rule already for the inbox messages, and you can turn this rule on or off. Then press Finish, and now the system should have applied this rule for any messages in the inbox. If you go here under Rules, you can also manage the existing rules that you have created and customize, enable, and disable those rules as well. So the idea here is to create rules to manage your email flow and weed out the junk mail, but at the same time also to troubleshoot if something is not coming in, your messages are not being delivered, then you might want to take a look at the rules and deactivate them temporarily to sort out what the problem is for you not receiving the emails. Test it out, and that's how this option would work. In this session, I'm very briefly going to cover how to mark messages as junk and add them to the junk folder. And notice I have these Lowe's messages that I'm receiving. In my case, if I don't want to receive those anymore, of course, I could either choose to unsubscribe to their site and such, provided they unsubscribe you. But let's assume I don't want to unsubscribe to those messages. in my case here, I can simply right-click and then choose here the option to block the sender. Any new messages from that sender will be blocked in the future or will not be delivered in my inbox. The other thing is that I can go here under the junk mail options. I could say choose the level of junk mail that I want to enable in my inbox, and I can choose low or high and such, and it will add them to the junk mail. I could choose here under Save Senders to allow specific emails so that they never end up in the junk mail option, and Save Recipients the same way. And then Blocked Senders, I could add somebody manually here, the email address, to block them from emails coming in. And additional top level domains that you can block from here. So that's controlling the junk mail filters. For this specific message, I could choose junk and then block the sender, and then it says the sender Lowe's@elowe's.com has been added to your blocked senders list and the messages have been removed from the junk folder. So I click OK, and now those messages coming in the future, they'll be removed. Notice that there is one more here. That's because this was from here from before. Now we're defining this for new messages in the future. So that's how you define the filters. That's how we define them, and also that's how to block a specific sender in Outlook. The other function that I wanted to show you is how to follow up with a specific message. So let's say I have this message called test message, and let's assume this is an important message that I want to follow up with in the future. So I go here to my message, and then I could categorize this message under the categories here. I could put this in the blue category or green category or whatever. And these are the default categories that Outlook has. However, I could go here under all categories, and I could create my own new category. And I click on New. And then I want to mark all the clients, for example, the specific color code, dark green here. You can also specify a control key to mark that message using a shortcut on your keyboard, and then click OK. Now if I click OK here, I'm marking this message with a specific color code. If I go to another message here, I could mark that in the blue category or orange or red category or whatever category, but you're basically assigning categories to each one of the messages so that later you could go and sort these by category or so that they stand out. So that's one way to assign categories to each message. And notice there's a little green block here. The other thing that you can do is you can choose to follow up with specific messages, and it will put them in your task list here on the right hand side. So you can flag them, and the flagging, what it will do is as you have your messages in your inbox, you have these little flags next to each message that you can follow up later or at some point. So it's kind of a reminder tool for you to view them. The other thing is that on the right hand side, if you have the tasks being displayed here, and the way you control tasks is on the Home tab, you go under View and you choose under the To-Do bar, you choose to display the tasks. Once you have the tasks enabled to be displayed, then you can simply double click on that task. Those messages will show up right here. You can double click on the task or in that email, and it will open up the email that you need to follow up with. And then from here you reply, you send it, forward it, or delete it, or whatever you need to do from here that you chose to follow up. So notice you have different options here to follow up if you need to change it. Follow up this week, next week, follow up today, and such. The other thing is that you can add reminders for those messages as well by clicking on Add Reminder, and then you'll have to choose a time and date when you want a reminder for this message. When you're all set and done with the message, you can either mark it as complete from here, or if you open up the message, you can choose to mark it as complete from here as well, and it puts a check mark. And notice you can right click, choose Mark as Complete, and choose to follow up with these whenever. So the way to assign this is either from up here under the toolbar, or right clicking on the message and choose to follow up at a specific time and date. In this session, I'll demonstrate how to set up out-of-office replies or automated replies for your email in Microsoft Outlook 2016. So suppose you're going on vacation for a week or two, hopefully two, right? We want to set up automatic replies. To do that, we go here under File, and then we go here under Automatic Replies. Now, under Automatic Replies, all you have to do is click on Send Automatic Replies, and then you can specify to send the replies automatically so it engages a specific time and date, and then it will disengage automatically on that. So you can set the time here, the date, and then you can have this for multiple days if you want, and then the end point. And then for people inside of my organization, so that would be anybody with your domain email address or the accounts on a Microsoft Exchange, they would receive this automated message. So you type your message in there, what you want to be sent automatically. You can copy this as well, and then for people outside of the organization, you can choose whether to send automatic replies as well, and you can use the same one by pasting it in here. You can choose to send it to anyone outside of the organization or just contacts that are in your address book and such. Under rules here, you can choose to specify rules and conditions as well. So if it's from a specific individual, then to take a specific action to forward it to somebody else or to reply with a specific template. So if it's from your boss, then you say, I'm on it. If it's from junk mail, then you can have a specific other template as well. I'm not going to get into that at this point because it's a little bit more complicated, but for the sake of what you'll be doing most likely is engaging and setting up the auto reply, specifying the dates, the start and end time, keeping in mind that the system will enable it or disable it automatically based on those parameters. Type the messages for inside of the organization or outside of the organization, and then click OK. And now at this point, the automatic reply has been configured, and when the time parameters kick in, it will be automatically engaged.